Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod. And I'm here today with Disco Tits, one of my favorite performers. And we were actually on set on the last set I was in before the pandemic. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
I feel like ever since I've started going to Europe, I feel like we've always kind of had stuff with each other, whether it's when you were involved with Sluts for Sluts and we did screenings together, or the last time when we shot stuff with you and Courtney with this like giant like blow up condom thing. But yeah, I'm so excited to have you. Can you like tell me a little bit about like your background and how you got into this industry?
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about what you were just saying about the stuff that we shot. It just feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it truly does. It feels like 5 years ago, even though it was like 2 years ago, something like that. Just so
I don't
crazy.
know. Time is strange in COVID times. Okay, so a little bit about myself. My name is Disco Tits. I was born in Brazil, in Rio, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I moved to the UK when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I've been kicking it about the UK for far too long. Yeah, I do have a very like British accent, not British accent. I have a London accent. Okay,
You definitely do. Yes.
Don't judge me.
Oh, I'm not. No, it's great. I've never heard anyone be like, "Oh, that accent."
I'm very proudly not British, so just putting it out there. I just turned 33. God.
Congrats. Happy birthday.
Thank you. You know, Capricorn. And yeah, when did I start? Oh, God, I've been a sex worker for about 12 years now, which again just feels like such a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it definitely does. I just hit a decade 2 months ago, and it's just like, wow, a whole different person.
Very much so. I don't think I can even like look back to the stuff I started making, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's another me. I don't ever want to see it again.
Do people ever like show you the stuff that you made when you were really young?
Okay, so when I actually started about 12 years ago, I started out in the porn industry. Mm-hmm. And I started doing this like CF&M stuff, which was for a site in the US. So I don't think anyone here in the UK saw it. So I'd be very surprised if I knew anyone who managed to find it. I can't even find it myself. Not that I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. I had someone I had someone send me porn from when I was 19 a few days ago. Maybe it was like last month. And I'm just like, you should not be able to find that.
I'll tell you what, though. I have like, I'm pretty sure there's still like videos of me on like Pornhub and like, what was the other one? Like YouPorn or whatever.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Still there. I don't really care, but it's probably still there. And oh wait, what was the other? Oh God, there was this other site.
RedTube?
No, not RedTube. I think what was the one, the hamster one? I can't even remember.
X-Hamster. Yeah.
Yes, I think it was on there. Oh God. And I was actually this is back before when I was still in my personal life, sort of dating men. Lol.
Oh no. I'm like, I only know you as the lesbian sex worker, so that's like very shocking to me.
I know. This is back when I was, you know, still telling myself that I was bisexual. And I was like sort of sleeping with this guy, and he was like, "Oh, can I put on some porn while we fuck?" And I was like, "Okay, fine, you know, cool, webs." And then he got up one of my gangbang videos.
What?
He was like, "Oh, I heard you like bukkake." I was like, "Get the fuck out."
Oh my God.
How dare. And also, why would I want to like fuck watching myself?
Yeah, that's not.
It was that was an interesting time.
Wow, that's so awkward. I can't.
I
can't
know.
even imagine that.
So, yeah, I've had people find stuff and then send it to me, but like, oh, is this you? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. If it's anything from my past, I'm like, no, it's not me. See, you can see it's not me. It looks very different.
So did you start shooting stuff in the UK, or were you shooting in like Europe at the time when you first started?
No, I was just shooting in the UK. Yeah. It was like the UK porn industry was very different back then as well. It's kind of, it's not really that existent anymore. I guess a lot of things are just very underground now, but back when I started, there was still like more of an industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like hanging out with like Bend Over. I don't know if you ever heard of Bend Over.
Oh yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like mingling with Bend Over and like wet t-shirt parties and shit.
Oh my god.
And
Yeah,
I feel
like UK porn is so disjointed. Like there's a few people here, a few people there, and it's just like, oh, okay. It's very hard to get a grasp, I think, on what porn actually is there.
It is now, but I think there used to be more of like an actual like porn community, you know, like events were happening and stuff. But to be honest, like maybe in the last I don't know, maybe in the last like 6 years, 7 years or something, it's kind of just like died out, really.
Do you think it's just because of content trade? Do you think people are just shooting their own stuff now? Or what do you think caused that?
I would say yes. And also in part, the British government tried to ban a lot of porn.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had heard about that.
Yeah, actually one of my scenes was involved in that.
Oh my.
Yeah, I shot a scene with Pandora Blake, and apparently it got in front of Parliament at some point.
Yeah.
And it caused them to be like, oh, these things are okay in porn because this is a piece that is obviously not graphic, which is so bizarre to me.
So they ban. Okay, so there's a list of things that they banned, right? So for a period in time, there were sexual acts that were banned in porn in the UK, right? Mm-hmm. So that was female ejaculation, banking, face sitting. What else was there? Oh God, I think they were trying to ban anal as well at one point.
I think fisting was on the list.
Fisting,
menstruation,
water sports, and then like adult baby kind of stuff as well was So it was basically a lot of porn, especially like the UK porn has always been quite like perverse and like kinky and you know.
Yeah. You know, you guys have some underlying stuff going on there.
Listen, the British like consider themselves as prim and proper and classy and whatever, but actually they like to consider themselves as like quite well behaved, but actually they have some weird ass kinks.
I can definitely see that.
We love to see it.
I feel like there's a lot of uptightness just as far as just like the whole British mentality. So I think there's just a lot of repression.
Yeah, but that's only in public though, because behind closed doors, trust me, behind closed doors, that's a whole other thing. Because I do full service sex work as well. Like, you know, I see, I get a lot of weird things.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard some of your stories where I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, porn is also one thing, but then once you like move away from porn and do like full service, it's like it's a whole other thing.
Did you just ring a bell on purpose? Because that was like actually, such great timing.
That was actually my work phone.
Oh wow. It was such great timing where I'm like, wow. They have sound effects. You came prepared.
That was just a pervert wanting to see me on camera.
Oh, well.
no less.
Yeah, that's the life. But I'm just stoked to talk to you because you're one of the few other lesbian sex workers I know who has to deal with men all day. So I'm
Oh,
like, there's not very many people who have the same experience.
oh my God, honestly, drives me
It's
nuts.
Yeah, it is. Especially when you don't really interact with men outside of work. So it's just like the only
Oh my
men
God,
you deal with are just annoying you all fucking day.
I actually don't really have men in my personal life.
Same. I'm like,
Like,
I don't
like,
remember
I
the
mean,
last one who I hung out with.
I guess like when I say men, I mean definitely not cis men. I feel like yeah, I don't even have any like I'm trying to think if I've got any like queer cis men in my life, and I think the answer is kind of no.
Yeah,
Or
not.
at least not like immediately. They might be on the periphery. Do you know what I mean? They probably
Mhm.
I mean I definitely have like, you know, just some gay friends who I haven't seen in years, but aside from that, not really. And so yeah, men is yeah, largely just sex work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't I don't know, they don't make a good case for themselves. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, I cam like every day. So I'm like 95% of interactions with the men is just them wanting free stuff from me. So I'm just like, there's someone else I can talk to about this.
Have you found that you get requests from men wanting to make pornos with you? Because I
All the
get this
time.
all the time.
Yes.
All the time. And
Yep.
they're like, oh, you'll make so much money if I'm in it with you. And I'm like, nah,
Yep.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The reason why you're coming to me is because you can't make money on your own, bro. That's why you're coming. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you know that you can then like profit off of like my labor and my body. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely. I'm always just like, I don't want to have someone on set and waste my entire crew's time because you can't get hard. Like most people can't perform on porn sets, and people are just like, oh, well, I have sex, so it's the same. And it's
Oh,
really not.
oh yeah. I mean, even just like, you know, doing full service sex work, just having clients just be like, oh, you have such an easy job. All you have to do is open your legs all day. And I'm like, if only that was actually like true. Because most
Right.
of the time I'm having to deal with like bullshit for men.
Yeah, I wish my job was literally just masturbating. That would be terrific if I just got ready, just masturbated, and that was it for my day. That would be so fucking great. I'd be so happy.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've also done webcam as well, and like even that, well, technically you could be masturbating all day on cam, but I mean, it's still a lot of work.
Yeah,
And
it's really draining. Really draining.
yeah,
Obviously,
and
you have the
people,
physical safety, but
yeah, but people also don't see a lot of like the unseen labor that goes into
Mhm.
sex work, right? Whether that's porn, webcam, or like full service, is like there's a lot of admin to do.
Way too
Like,
much admin, too many emails, too many interviews that you have to get back to.
oh,
It really feels like it's never ending.
it is never ending, and it's all unpaid labor, which makes it even harder to do sometimes. You know, and I'm just like, oh, it is this thing. Oh, even now I'm just like looking at adult work right now, and they're like asking me to fill out like the interview questions. And I'm like,
Oh
what?
no.
Why do men need to know all this information about me? Why do they need to know my star sign? I mean, I feel like that should be reserved for the lesbians. You know?
Yeah, I'm like, I learned my star sign on a porn set. So I feel like
Did you?
that's really full. Yeah, I didn't know. They're like, you're a Virgo. And I'm like, what? And then they described it to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
Was that in the porno though?
no, that was
Was
just
it
like
edited
the
out?
interview. It wasn't
Oh.
even in it. It was just like the interview process. It was like, what sign are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm from the Midwest, so like it's like very like people aren't really into that stuff there. So, going
Really?
to
No astrology
California.
lesbians? There's no astrology lesbians in the Midwest.
Very few. So when I lived in the Midwest, I'm from this little town named Holland in Michigan. It's like 2 hours north of Chicago, but it's like the mini Netherlands. But it's like fairly conservative and there's barely any gays. So when I would go to lesbian clubs when I was young, before I moved to California, I was like 20, 21. I had to dress differently so I would get read as a lesbian because femmes didn't really exist there. So I had to wear flannel, the flat billed hat, like all
Oh,
that dumb stuff.
baby,
So
do
like
it.
I had to even be read as gay because every time I'd wear anything feminine, people would just be like, "Oh, you're straight. Why are you a straight girl at a gay bar?" So that's what I had to do back in the day, but just so different.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, God. I remember when I was a baby butch too.
Oh, you had the flat billed hat? I still have it. I just don't
I
ever wear it.
okay. Just to put it out there right now, I have never been a flannel lesbian.
Oh, you've never been a flannel
No,
lesbian?
no. More of like a sporty, like when I was a bit more butch, I was just more like sporty little like just tomboy kind of vibe.
Yeah, you were in Muay Thai shorts in the last scene we shot you. It was so cool. I was like, damn, that's awesome.
Those are my then partners. My ex's shorts. I still have them.
Yeah, I'm like, they're so cool. That's a definite thing you should steal from your ex, like 100%.
Yeah, Max was like, wear it. I was like, okay. I'll wear it on set for you, don't worry.
I feel like that's such a cool crossover that's happening now. There's like a few athletes, like there's this MMA fighter who's now also doing porn at the same time.
Oh wow.
And she has like an OnlyFans, but it's also like doing that whole thing. It's just so interesting to see like the crossover.
That sounds great. Who is this?
I can't remember her name. I think she's from somewhere in like Florida or something like that. I'm not positive. But also like I got really into that at one point because I realized they're all gay and they're all dating each other. Where I'm like, oh, I see.
So you mean like our industry then?
Yeah, it's definitely like that. Do you know who Amanda Nunes is?
Do I? The name rings a bell, but I can't picture.
So she's the current champion of the USC. She's Brazilian and an out lesbian and is married to another fighter.
Okay, that's how I know, because she's Brazilian.
Yeah. So like their story about them meeting each other is like, well, like I always wanted to find someone to do BDSM stuff with, and I couldn't find anyone to hit me hard enough. And then like we met at the gym and we're like, oh, we should just start dating. And that's their whole relationship. It's like, that's the gayest shit I've ever heard.
Amazing. That's amazing. I've been wrestling with my girlfriend too. My butch girlfriend. But I win every time because I'm the strongest.
I always get offers to do that kind of porn, and then I'm always like, oh my God, I'm gonna like do something really wrong with my body. I used to work at kink.com in SF, and I worked with a girl before, and she had a separated shoulder from a porn shoot from doing the wrestling thing. It's just like, I don't think an $800 or $1,000 paycheck is anywhere worth that, you know?
No, definitely not. I mean, I definitely know people who are like pro wrestlers who also like do stuff. I mean, I know some like some wrestlers who get paid to literally just like tackle men to the ground. They love that shit. Men love that shit.
It's really interesting, that crossover. I've performer friend. Oh, she was actually on the podcast, Felicia. You might know her, Felicia Fisher. She's based out of Chicago, but she does this stuff where she like has videos where she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna box this girl, and that's a fetish. It's like, oh, okay.
That sounds great. That sounds great. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. So you first like started in like more of like the established like British porn industry, it sounds like. When did you kind of start making your own stuff, and how did you get involved with Sluts for Sluts?
When did I start making my own stuff? God, it just feels like such a lifetime ago. Maybe like 7 years ago or something. Well, maybe longer than that, because I went from porn and then went into webcam. And I guess when I started doing webcam, I was maybe making also a lot of like my own content. That's how I got the name Disco Tits, was from my webcam days.
It's such a good porn name. It's just so good.
Do you know what it is? It was actually like one of the clients, and like I just would like have disco music playing in the background and just be like with my tits out and just sort of bouncing about. And this guy was just like, you know what? I always come here for the disco, but the tits also make it a lot more fun. And then that's how I came up with the name Disco Tits.
That's so cool.
Name since. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I guess like, yeah, it's been a while since I've been making my own content, but in terms of like making more sort of queer content was when I kind of decided to start a porn collective, which has now kind of dissolved for various reasons, just sort of personal reasons. A lot of people having health problems and have just had to tap out. I've also not had the time to kind of keep up with it, to be honest. So it's kind of fizzled out. But yeah, starts with sort of like the coming together of people who wanted to create a safer space for porn making, you know, where like consent was at the forefront of the sets. And you know, I mean, to be honest, mostly it was just like fucking our friends,
yeah,
others and stuff, which was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like that's just so needed with porn. It's just like for people just to make stuff. That's what I thought was so cool about what you guys were doing, because it was so many people, it felt like, and it was in like multiple countries at the same time.
Yeah, and it really was like, you know, to sort of like center marginalized bodies at the forefront of porn. It was started by me and another person, so who was also like POC, and we kind of really wanted to hone in on it also being a space for other people of color to come together and, you know, share and create with each other, and kind of just, you know, to be able to see like bodies like ours on screen. And that also was informed by a lot of us being survivors as well, that we kind of wanted to bring forward that idea that actually like consent is sexy and can be kinky and fun, and that it should be a part of not just like sex in real life, but also a part of making porn, you know. I mean, having had experience in the sort of like wider porn industry, making commercial porn, like, you know, I don't want to play into that like turfy and swerfy kind of like rhetoric about like how pornography is just rape and all this kind of shit. I don't want to play into that, but you know, porn sets aren't always safe. They aren't,
for sure. Yeah,
right, in the same way that like even just like in relationships, like those sort of scenes aren't always safe either. You know, so, you know, so it was also like, you know, having had quite bad experiences on porn sets, and been assaulted and stuff on sets, and I kind of just really wanted to create a safe space for people to make porn and to have autonomy over what they are making, you know, and how they make it. I think that was really, really important. And also, like, you know, we had quite a lot of people who had never been in the industry before and who wanted to start. It was also about creating a safe space for newcomers, you know, and to learn from those of us who had already had experience in the industry, in making porn or doing full service sex work or other forms of sex work, you know. So yeah, it was a great idea. It's also hard. It's also quite hard to have a collective when it comes to like making like content of a sexual nature, you know. Especially when a lot of like newcomers don't really quite understand what it means to be in the sex industry, right? Because everyone has this like glamorized idea of like the sex industry, when there is a lot of stuff that you have to think about. You have to think about your safety, privacy, you know, like the legalities around it, which also differ country to country, you know, continent to continent. There's so much more. It's not just about like putting your image out there and it's fine. I mean, I've had stalkers, you know, I've had like,
yeah, same.
I had to move house. I've had to, you know, it's it's a lot, you know, and you know, and also a lot of people like felt weird about maybe like showing their face. And it's like, you can make porn where you're not in it, but then it's also kind of like,
yeah,
you have to understand that once stuff is out on the internet as well, like unfortunately there will always be someone who will be able to trace stuff back to you.
Yep, for sure.
And that you have to contend with and have to kind of like be aware of, you know. So I think for a lot of people as well, it's kind of, they have this glamorized idea of like sex work, whether it's porn or even full service, because I've had people come to me about starting full service, and I go into it and they're like, oh my god, this is really complicated. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's so many people, especially like probably back more in like 2015, 2016, kind of around the Tumblr era. I felt like a lot of people are getting into porn because they thought it was a cool thing, or it was like, or it was like, oh, I should do this for a while, even though I may be from a wealthy background or all this stuff. And I just feel like there were a lot of people coming in for very strange reasons.
Oh, you mean like OnlyFans?
No, I think even before that, I think I saw it a lot in the Bay specifically. Like people were moving here to be porn stars who were like from middle or upper class backgrounds. And to me, that just felt so bizarre because they're like, oh yeah, I have like trust funds, I have all this money, and my parents are paying my rent, but I'm here doing porn. And it's just like very different, you know? I'm just like, oh, we are coming at this from very different perspectives, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess like it's quite different in terms of like the US versus the UK, right? Though, because I think when we think about like glamorization of porn, we think of the US, right? Like LA. You know, I mean, I've been offered to go shoot in LA for some like hardcore stuff, and I was like, no, I think I'm fine actually.
It's a different world. It's just so.
It's a very different world. And like I kind of like made a decision that I kind of didn't want to shoot with men anymore. So
that's a good choice.
the offer I had for working in LA was off the cards for me. But you know, that kind of stuff, yeah, like you'd go to the US to make more glamorized type of porn, realistically, you know. Like if you want some really like freaky, kinky BDSM shit, you go to like Germany, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So like if you're really into your spanking porn, you go to the UK, or like, you know, so every kind of like continent or like country has its own like, I don't know what the word is for it,
kind of like specialty and like kind of I think like flavor of porn.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and the US is very specific, but like when people think of porn, they think of automatically like the US, you know.
Yeah, they think of AVN, they think of contract girls. That's what they think the industry is.
Yeah, Playboy, etc. You know.
Yeah,
and like, you know, I've known people who were like Playboy bunnies and stuff, and they were like, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've worked with on sets with loads of like Playboy girls and stuff, and they were just like, oh, I'm over it now. Fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like the longer you're in this industry and the more you meet people who've done like these different things, everything's just kind of whatever after a while, where it's like, oh yeah, it was a job, it was fine. Like I feel like that's most industries though, because like when you first see this stuff, it feels so glamorized. Like the first AVN I went to, I got my picture taken with like all these Playboy bunnies. I was like, holy shit, this is a whole different world. They don't have this in the Midwest. And like my grandma liked it, and she's like, wow. You know? So yeah, it's just, I think, really a different flavor in every country, as you're saying, where there's so much of this stuff in the United States that's so based upon that. But then there's also like people who are like in Kentucky or Chicago or like just random ass places who are like, oh yeah, I'm making a porn career here. And it's just like so mind-blowing, because I think when I first started this podcast, it was like, okay, most of porn's in LA, most of porn's in Vegas. There's like a little bit of stuff happening in Berlin, but I think just really realizing the whole global porn industry, and there's literally people making porn everywhere.
Yeah,
It's just so mind-blowing and how different every country's porn really is.
Yeah, I think, like, one of the big important things about the US and like the kind of glamorization that comes out of US porn is the lifestyle around it, right? Like, I feel that there is more of a lifestyle around it, whereas like here in Europe, we don't have that so much with the porn industry. Do you see what I mean? I mean, not to say that people don't live it 24/7, but it's
different.
It's not as visible or like in your face as in Vegas or in LA. But then also those are very specific places in the States where like it's like that, right? Because as you're saying, even all over the States, like the porn that people are making is vastly different. But then also this has also come from a time like maybe like the 90s even, where like there was still like an industry where it was largely industry people making
serious
porn,
money. Yeah.
Right. And now with the internet and like the way in which the internet has kind of evolved over time, like having all these sites like amateur porn or like ManyVids, etc., where you can put your own porn, you can make your own porn, put your own porn on there, make money from it. Even like people making money off of like putting their stuff on Twitter or OnlyFans, etc. All these things have come about, and like that has made porn more accessible to people in terms of not just accessing content, but also in terms of making content, right?
For sure.
So you don't have to fly all the way to LA to make porn now. You can just like do it in your bedroom, and so I think that has changed a lot in terms of like how the industry works.
I think it's really interesting because I feel like you're right though. I feel like American porn and kind of its influence on the rest of the world still views porn stars as they did in the 90s, where you're almost viewed as like a similar thing to a pop star, where it's like, oh yeah, well, they're all this creative stuff and they won this award and they're this great and they're this kind of performer, and like they're idolized in the very similar way. I think the only thing that you can really compare it to is like pop stars in our culture, probably, because there's not very many other things that you're like elevated and that yourself is the kind of medium,
Yeah, for sure. Also have a drink of water.
So you've kind of shot have you mostly just shot in Europe, or have you ever shot in the Americas?
No, I've mostly shot in Europe. I had plans to shoot over in the States, but then COVID happened. So that is
the amount of plans that would have happened if it wasn't for COVID is so crazy.
I know.
I've talked to so many people who are just like, oh yeah, I had all these plans. It's like,
yeah, I kind of had avoided going to the US for a while.
I mean, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, I just like I don't know, kind of avoided it for a bit, but I did get offers like back when like in terms of porn when I was like starting out. And I mean, I did do shoots for a US based site, but it was shot in the UK. So I did have the opportunities, but at the time I kind of was just like, I'm not really ready, or like really feeling like I want to go down this road in terms of like the porn that I was making. And then to be honest, I was in a relationship. I was in a God, literally when I think back to this time, I'm like, what? But the last ever relationship that I was in with a cis straight man.
Oh no.
I know. Don't. He's actually in the States now, so he's the US's problem now. But...
I mean, there's so many. Of course he is. Of course he is. That makes sense.
It's not my problem now. But
that's just what Brooklyn needs more of. Just fuckboys wandering around.
He's like a tour. I'm not even gonna go into it. I'm not even gonna go into it. It's a whole other thing. But when we had like started seeing each other, I'd already been doing porn for a bit. And he really liked the idea that I was like doing porn, and he was going around to everyone. He was like, "Oh, dating a porn star, blah blah blah, whatever." And then and then we like, I guess like our relationship got like more serious or whatever, and like we were like official, and he just got really jealous, and he'd start going through all my porn scripts, because at the time I was working for like some companies and stuff, so I was, you know, doing like scripted stuff, which is always quite funny when you get scripts,
that's
right?
so funny when you have to be an actor and you're like, I'm literally here just to fuck. Like, let's be real.
I literally was like a bride.
Oh my god.
Wait, listen. I was a bride for this gay porno where like...
It was a gay porno?
Okay, yes, it was a gay porno. Okay, so bride, and like my husband-to-be, the groom, was like owed some people some money, and then during the wedding, they like crashed our wedding, tied me up, and they like fucked it. It's just so, I mean, you know, it was like
I love that that's the porn you're in.
To be honest, I was basically like cuckolded. That was basically the whole kind of vibe. So it wasn't that like I didn't get fucked or anything. But then I had to like, they were like, "Oh, you have to cry on cue." I was like, "What do you mean I have to cry on cue?"
You have to cry on cue. You're expecting this acting quality.
Honestly, I think like the wildest thing was having to go wedding dress shopping with the director. I think I actually still have the glasses.
Where did you shoot this? Was this just in London?
Yeah. It was so funny. It was, yes.
How many stores did you go to?
Oh my god, I went to a few in like central London. It was so weird. And I was with the director, and everyone was like thinking that we were like together, and I was like, ugh. And at the time I was like 20, you know, and I was like, oh my god, this is wild.
That is straight up horrific. I literally, oh my god, my skin would crawl just over that situation.
That's not even the funniest shoot or weirdest shoot I've ever done, to be honest. I did quite a few weird shoots for them. Also, one of the things is that like their interview process was you'd have to wank in front of the director and he'd film it. And
oh my god!
Yeah, I know. You know, the porn industry has some wild ones. You know, I mean,
porn used to be so different because that it used to like not be that weird of a thing.
Yeah, you'd go into this room and you'd like wank in front of a director, and that was your interview. Yeah, that was the time. But yeah, so I basically like would have all these scripts, and my ex at the time, he'd literally be going through all my scripts, and he'd be like, "You can't do this, you can't do that," and he was just like literally crossing out the bits.
Oh my god!
Like, I can't go back to the director and be like, "Sorry, I can't do this shit," because my boyfriend is a jealous like twat. But
that's like the level of the boyfriends who are like, "I need to be on set."
Oh no, absolutely not.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Absolutely not. But yeah, that was a bit of a time, and then I ended up having to leave the industry because it was just too much. Just having this fucking boyfriend just constantly like, you know. But in the end, I kind of got him back. Because he made me leave the porn industry, he wasn't allowed to watch porn. Because if I'm not allowed to make it, then you ain't allowed to watch it. So, you know.
That's so funny. That's like that you had to go wedding dress shopping at 20 years old with a porn director is just like the funniest shit.
That's not even the funniest shoot I did with our company.
What's the best one?
So I did another shoot where we were like it was another like CF&M type shoot. Okay. And like I was a schoolgirl. We were all school kids. So here are like 20-something-year-olds in like school kid outfits, right? So you got the guy, and then you had the girls in like really tiny skirts and stuff in like a school uniform. And we went to a farm. We went to a farm in central London, City Farm in central London, and like we were just being followed around, being filmed, and with like the camera being like filmed up up under our skirts and stuff. And everyone around us who wasn't a part of like the film set didn't realize that there was a porno being shot in the farm. It was just like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? I don't understand. And then so we shot part of it there, and then we got on the coach and we went out of London, and we stayed on this farm for like 3 days and shot this porno farm. And basically, you know, like we'd get the guys to like plow the fields and stuff. So the kind of like metal apparatus that you get and you put on the horse to plow the fields, but we'd strap it to the guys, and they would be like naked plowing these fields, and we'd be like whipping them, being like, you know, like, hurry up, da, 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 da. And then one of the guys we hooked him up to like a bull sperm collecting machine. And we're like, would make him like jerk into this like machine that collects the sperm from the bulls. Oh, that's so funny. And then at one point, this like random car just pulls up into the farm, and everyone's like, oh my god, what? Stop what you're doing, because we're literally like in the middle of the set, like shooting, and everyone has to run in and be like, oh my god, has the police come, or like whatever. It was just some like nudist who was just trying to find a local nudist spot or whatever. And they saw us shooting porn. They saw us like being naked and doing weird shit on the farm, that they thought they'd stop by because they thought that was their spot. Yeah, it was funny. And then I remember like in the farm, like in the shed bit, there was like a whole like trunk load of like farmers' wives' porn mags. It was crazy. It was a crazy time.
Holy shit. I mean, I guess that makes sense that that's being made in the UK. Like it tracks, like it makes sense, but wow.
That's the kind of stuff that comes out of the UK.
Wow. I knew you were gonna have some really good story, and I think that like lived and beyond it, that you, what the fuck? I don't have words for that.
Well, yeah, I've done some, I've done some back in the days when I used to do DP, Bukkake, all those gangbang films.
I think I've done 2 gangbangs. I did it was almost a bukkake scene. So I have this friend who's also a sub, and we were shooting with her dom, and she was like, oh, I can squirt on cue. So I'm like, oh, I have an idea for a scene. Why don't you get fucked right over top of me and you just keep squirting on my face? She squirted 34 times on my face.
Wow.
It was 3 days later. I was in a different city. I could still taste her cum in my sinuses. It was the most wild fucking thing. I was at like the Trans 100 that was like outstanding trans excellence in activism, and I could still taste her cum in my nose at the ceremony. I'm like, I'm the only one in this place having this issue right now.
But you loved it though.
Yeah, it was a great scene. I just didn't realize, I didn't realize the amount of squirt that they could actually produce.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
That's pretty well. I mean, I've managed to like come like 30 times in half an hour, but like, you know, not squirting though.
Oh no, we had to stop middle set, so I'm like totally still bound on the bed covered in cum. And she's like, I need to quick drink like a gallon of water. So she's like chugging water in between the scene. It's just like, okay, we got this.
Oh god, I used to do a lot of like piss porn. I used to do lots of like lesbian piss porn back in the day. And also like because the UK loves like it's like sneaky pee. I used to do a lot of sneaky pee. Where
what's it? First off, in your accent, hilarious. A sneaky pee. I never heard anyone refer to like a kind of porn as they love a sneaky pee. That's
okay. So sneaky pee was so there used to be this website. I think it got taken down by the government back in that during that time when they were censoring stuff. Sneaky pee was this site. And basically we would be filmed having a piss outside in public, And the whole point would be that it'd be in places where you could potentially get caught. So it'd be like in front of like a Tesco.
Oh my God. If you've never been to the UK, Tesco's like their version of Walmart, I guess, or something smaller.
Yeah, kind of. So it'd be like in front of like places like that. It'd be like around the corner of a pub. It'd be on a bridge, car park. Oh God. Did get caught by the police a couple of times, but we managed to evade.
Did you get caught by the police or just the company as a whole?
Oh no. Company. It was basic. It would be like me, one other model, and then like the director usually. So it wasn't like a whole set, but like a couple of times the police did catch us, and they would just like run and be like, "Oi!" and then we just like legged it. We just like legged it. Like,
I just love that there's British police who are like, we need to find the sneaky pea people, and they're just like, "Oi, stop!"
They've got nothing better. They've got nothing else better to do with their time. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bit of time. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of like piss competitions as well. Yeah, just like, you know, sort of doing like the pee arches as well into each other's mouths. Did a lot of like in pee porn like that.
Wow, that's very impressive. I totally cannot pee on cue, so that you have the ability to do that.
It was almost like an all-day shoot. Like we'd be drinking and just like knocking back beers left, right, and center. So pissed on set as well. It was like, and actually, like I did a lot of that with my friend's Columbia. That was her stage name, and she was the one that got me into porn in the first place. She used to also like strip on stage with my band at one point, but she got me into porn and we used to do all this stuff together. It was a lot of fun, but we'd just be pissed on set because we'd be knocking back all these beers because obviously, like, you know, it makes you like pee quicker and stuff. God, it was a time. I spent my 20s just basically making all this like weird funny porn.
I feel like that's the most British thing. Be like, no, you can't drink water. You have to drink beer. It makes you pee more. Like, you just have to.
I mean, I do actually, you know, one of my most popular services as a full service worker is actually water sports. And I'm very good at pissing. And I can drink water. I could drink a glass or 2 glasses of water and then, like, you know, I can hold it in, but I can also like largely I can piss on cue. I'm quite good at that. I have quite good control of my bladder, but on set, like, it's a bit different where it's a bit more controlled, and you've got to, like, if you're shooting, then you've got to prolong the pee and whatever. It just kind of like, yeah, beer is really good for that. It's not very good for not being drunk though. That's
yeah, you're thing. Just drunk shooting piss porn. Be like, I have to do it. I have to sustain the pee.
And also it makes the pee yellow, so it shows up more on camera.
Oh my God, I love that so much. So I have two more questions for you. This has been so much fun just to chat and all this. I feel like we always see each other in Europe, but it's always kind of in passing. So I think like the coolest thing about this podcast is just getting to hear these stories and stuff, because I feel like we don't get to talk about these in our industry really, you know?
Yeah, no, we don't. That's good.
So you've been in porn or sex work for like 12 years now. Is there some stuff that you still really want to accomplish in your career?
Oh, yes, definitely. I kind of would like to, I guess, moving on from Sluts for Sluts, which the idea was like a collective. I would actually like to start a studio. I think that would be great. I think that's kind of like my next sort of steps. Yeah, although I've managed to convince my girlfriend to start making porn with me. I do this every time. Like, you remember my ex-girlfriend who you met?
Yeah.
Like, I also got her into making porn with me.
That's how it happens. Yeah, I'm trying to hold my current partner back a little bit because they're like, it was very shortly after we started dating, like 2 months in, they're like, let's start doing porn together. I want to show my face. I'm like, let's have you off camera. I'm like, I don't need more porn that's porn with exes and then have that be out there. Like, that's not a fun thing to have.
Depends on the exes. Most of my exes I'm still in contact with and in good form with, so it's all right. Yeah.
All but one of mine, yeah. The one that's like, no, I don't want that to exist.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, yeah, I kind of really want to start making more dyke porn. That's kind of like my current goal. Is to kind of, because I took a bit of a break from porn making, and had been doing just mostly full service, but I'm getting back into it. And I mean, I remember you also saw some of the stuff I did with Mike's Bitch Fit.
Yeah.
Kind of doing a lot more sort of like dyke on dyke porn. That's just like, also because, you know, there's a time and place for like soft lesbian porn, but I'm kind of bored of it, and that's not how I have lesbian sex. Same. You know, I kind of just want to be making dyke porn that's like, this is the kind of sex that I have.
100%, yeah.
You know, and also because like, you know, I've done like lesbian porn in the mainstream industry, which is like lesbian porn for men.
Yeah, and just like really soft and boring.
Yeah, and to be honest, it does not make a huge, like, it's not like a huge difference between like lesbian porn that's been made not for straight men. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, and like having done that myself, I feel like, oh, I don't know, it feels a bit weird for me. But also it's not the kind of sex that I have. And I do, and obviously, you know, I love my butches, and I think there should be more butches in porn. There's not a lot of representation of butch dykes. Especially like trans butch dykes.
Definitely not. I can barely name any off the top of my head, honestly.
Exactly, and that's kind of like my next steps, basically, is to kind of bring that about. And yeah, I think like, I don't know, I mean, obviously there's a lot of really great like queer porn out there, but I think for me what I find lacking is like great dyke porn. Do you know what I mean?
It's like hardcore and not just like soft stuff. Dykes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Blood Sisters. Have you seen Blood Sisters? It's like, where's that shit? Where is it? Just some like fucking leather dykes just getting railed. You know? Actually, one of the shoots I was actually planning for the US was just me and another femme just being railed by like stone butchers.
That's terrific.
Like you know, a little gangbang, you know, butch femme gangbang. That's what I want. I'm actually shooting some stuff for my girlfriend tomorrow.
That's so cool. I think you totally should make that. Yeah, basically all I've been making since the pandemic is just like lesbian BDSM. That's like the only shit I'm shooting. It's just like, I feel like the porn I make now is the same as the porn I watch, and I feel like it's fine, like full circle.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's like, and I think like it makes it more enjoyable to be making content when it's stuff that actually like feels like home to you, you know, when it feels natural. And that's kind of like where I'm at right now in terms of making porn, you know. Yeah,
definitely.
How is the lesbian porn scene over where you are?
I mean, right now,
after all that whole Lily Kate.
Oh,
bullshit.
I mean, she's been out of porn probably since like 2017. So as far as porn, she's been gone for so long.
I haven't paid attention to it, to be honest. Yeah,
I mean, did you see like the whole BBC thing like 4 months ago? Yeah. So that's why I started this podcast, because the BBC interviewed me for that, and it was like a super baiting interview. Felt super uncomfortable, so I was like, fuck them. I want to create a space that performers can just like talk about our shit and not be like baited into these dumbass questions.
Oh yeah, I did a stupid interview with Vice, and never again do I want to work with Vice magazine.
You just never know when these companies are gonna treat you well or when they're gonna fuck with you.
They always have an agenda.
Yeah,
always have an agenda, and it's not an agenda usually that paints you in a great light.
No, but I don't think as a whole people want to take the time to talk about porn and sex work as an actual medium, because it's just like, well, porn's bad. And it's just like, there's so much porn for so many different reasons. Yeah. That would be like saying like movies are bad. They cause people to do bad things. It's just like so generalizing over a whole medium. But I think like these media sources aren't ever going to actually cover the medium of porn because it's too much work. They have to understand a lot of stuff they don't understand. They have to question a lot of stuff. That's why I feel like most of these media sources aren't going to really have anything other than like some vague treetop idea of what this industry is.
And it stems back down to the fact that there is a complete lack of sex education, regardless what country you're in. There's a complete lack of sex education. And this is why not only like when they talk about like how porn is bad for people and how it creates like unrealistic like expectations of bodies, etc. It was like, well, this wouldn't be really an issue if people had an education in sex, right? Yep. And not just in sex in terms of how to have sex, but in terms of like what kinds of sex are out there, you know, having like being educated in like, you know, sexuality and gender and like, you know, and like your own personal journey in those sort of areas. Do you know what I mean? You know, and like having education on like consent and all this kind of stuff. Like this wouldn't be an issue realistically if we had education around these topics.
Yeah, there just truly isn't. And I think that's why it's such a problem. But I don't know. I feel
that's a whole too.
Yeah, that's something our medium can't ever really cover because it's just, I mean, there's like educational porn. I think there's a really great market for that, but I don't feel like you're stumbling across educational porn. You have to really look for it because it's not, you know, just what someone's uploading to a tube site is not, oh, this is what an orgasm means. And this is what, you know, all like the more, I don't even know what to call that kind of, it's like porn for women, but it's like instructional. And I think like that stuff's really important, but at the same time, I'm definitely not looking that up to learn about that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, even educational porn is censored as well. You know, it might not be censored to the same degree, but you know, to like in terms of getting it out there, it's still, you know, censored because at the end of the day, even if it's instructional, it's still sex.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's still like taboo around sex.
But I think even more particularly in the United States, because in the UK, in Europe, in most of the world, you can see breasts and some depictions of sexuality. But here it's, I think, just so taboo and still just so kind of based in all that. Just like Protestant bullshit that's so just afraid of any sort of sexuality or anything quote unquote sinful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it was similar here in the UK, but I don't know. I think like with the rise and the popularity of like page 3 girls and you know, like tabloid magazines here,
that shit is so crazy to me. I got on a flight there. It was, I think, after there was like some sort of terrorist attack there. I think it was the one on London Bridge, and the attacker got killed, right?
Yeah.
So people were like picking it up. I think I was on what's that shitty airline that they Ryanair, that's what it is.
Oh.
I was on a Ryanair flight. I think it was just to Amsterdam or something. It was short. And people are opening this and it was like 50 quid if you send in the best tits and you win best tits. I'm like, what the fuck? And then the next page is like a two-page spread of like the attacker, like laying on the ground, like dead. And it's just like, what the fuck are the tabloids here? They're just like so next level. Like here, they'll say crazy shit, but it's not like that. We don't have like crazy depictions of violence and then be like, yeah, we'll give you 100 quid if you show us your tits or your butthole or something. What the fuck's up with that? What's up with that shit?
Welcome to Great Britain. the land of the titties.
It's just fucking wild. Or even like when MTV in the United States got Skins, I think it was like 2011. and we had a toned down version of it. But people freak the fuck out here because they're like, there's nudity and kids doing drugs and all this stuff. And I feel like there it's just like, oh yeah, it's just a show. It's fine.
Oh, Skins. Skins is based. I mean, that's kind of like what it was like growing up as a teenager in the UK, though. I actually also knew one of the actors in Skins. So
who did you know?
One of the lesbians.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
One of the lesbian characters. We went to school together. We studied film together.
Damn. You should talk her into doing a scene. Be like, hey, one scene.
No, she's kind of disappeared. I don't think she acts anymore, but yeah, that was, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just UK life, really. It's just England. Yeah, it's not the same kind of vibe. But then, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like if there's like a US version that's kind of like just as like shocking as Skins, and probably not.
I mean, we have the Canadian Degrassi, but that's not quite as shocking.
Never watched it.
Drake was on it. He was he played Drake, like the rapper.
Oh, you mean the lesbian?
What?
The lesbian, Drake the lesbian.
I'm so confused.
But didn't he have that line about being a lesbian?
Oh, he did.
His like fucking song or whatever.
Oh, I forgot about that. See, I'm from close enough to Canada that everyone reps Drake where I'm from. So like you go to a family event, Drake's playing. You go to your cousin's house, he's playing Drake. Like everyone's listening to either Drake or Eminem. It's fucking awful.
It sounds awful.
It's not good. It's not good. So I have one final question for you. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and you can magically change one thing in porn. Totally different. What would it be?
Oh my God. That's a question and a half, isn't it?
It's my only like clickbaity question. I always save it for the end.
Oh my God, you put me on the spot. Now I can't think of anything. My mind is like...
I can answer it for me when you think, if you want. I can definitely do that.
Go on then. What's yours?
I want the studio, like how everyone's doing sites like MiniVids and OnlyFans and Clips for Sale and stuff. I want this to like speed up times like 4 or 5. So all these studios that used to have all this power and would do all this fucked up shit, like keeping people of color out, keeping fat people out, keeping trans people out, and like really perpetuating all the really bad shit in porn just kind of go away. I think that's what I want to have happen. I want like the performers to essentially control everything. Like, yeah, I'm cool with their...
I think I think I would say similar. And I would also add that I want like there to be like I want it to be like less cishet shit, basically.
For sure, yeah.
Firstly, I want there to be less power given to men, full stop, because they dominate the porn industry.
For sure.
Well, the sex industry, full stop. And I think I would quite like to stop seeing ethical porn.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
not gonna go
100%.
the whole into that.
You can if you want. If you want to go into it.
Erica Lust bullshit. And yeah, just would like to see less like feminist ethical porn, which is basically just white cis women fucking just, you know what I mean? Like not being ethical at all when you actually look into it, you know? Because
you're not wrong.
With everything that Erica Lust, like Erica Lust might consider herself like ethical porn, but I honestly, someone who has never done porn themselves or been a sex worker themselves has no idea what like being ethical in the sex industry is. Full stop.
Yeah, period. I feel like there needs to be a very important thing that you need to have that experience, at least on some level, to know what it's actually like. to know what position you're putting people in to be on
100%.
set.
100%. I would like to see also more like intimacy coordinators.
Yeah.
And that's like, and I know that there's a bit more of a movement now happening with that. So I don't know if you've seen the Netflix show Sex Education.
I have not, but I heard about it.
But they've had intimacy coordinators for like sex scenes or like scenes talking about sex and stuff, which is really great. So people that are like specialized in scenes like that, and I think that is something that we should 100% have on porn sets.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, I think that would be really helpful. Also, I think just if you view it as not just the way of like, oh, I think a lot of these companies are gonna be like, oh, that's just an extra expense to have someone on set be like, oh, are you okay? But I also feel like, especially in the porn industry, our whole thing is trying to get the best performance out of performers and trying to make them feel comfortable. Like the idea that it's just a one size fit all thing for that, I feel like those people could be so important on sets for getting, not only making everyone comfortable, but actually getting a better performance out of all their performers, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it basically. I also want to see more like filthy queer shit.
I love that about both of us, that we're like, porn needs to be more inclusive, it needs to be a better place, and it needs to, you know, really
be more
also like respect workers, but like I want the filthiest shit. I want girls who want to do the craziest shit, living out their fantasies. I want the girl who's like, I want to get gangbanged by 20 people. Go for it. I want to see her live out her dreams, you know?
It's quite funny because I'm looking at my shelf right now, and there's like quite a few of your films where you're where you're being filthy.
That's what I'm here for. But I think, like, for me, Sasha Grey was such a big role model because she was being political and talking about all this stuff, but also being like, yeah, I'm gonna do like a 25 guy gangbang, and I'm gonna scream at them and call them tricks and stuff, and just like, it's the coolest shit to me.
Oh god, I just literally just having flashbacks to the bloody like gangbang films I used to make. Jesus. What a time.
Truly.
I want that, but just diets.
For sure. Yeah, my first scene back was it wasn't quite a gangbang, but it was 3-on-1 after the pandemic. So it was like being locked down for, I think it was like 14 months before we shot again. And then it was the first scene back where like, okay, what should we shoot? And everyone's like, oh yeah, we can just all top you. That's fine. I'm like, okay. So that was my first scene back, was like 3-on-1. So much fun doing that kind of porn.
Yeah, my gangbangs are like 6+.
Yeah, I feel like I don't call it a gangbang unless it's more than that fits in an Uber. If your entire gangbang can fit in an Uber, it's not a gangbang, I feel like.
No, it definitely is not a gangbang.
No, I feel like it has to be the next level.
Oh god, honestly.
So, where can everyone find you with your social media and everything?
Oh my god, I guess like Instagram is the thing that is like the place where I am most visible. I've kind of like removed myself from a lot of other social media platforms, or have been deleted from other
yeah, that's too real.
So yeah, just Disco Tits on Instagram, basically.
Okay, well, follow Disco Tits. Thank you so much for chatting. I had so much fun with you today.
Yes, it was so nice to chat again. It's been a while.
I know. Hopefully we can be in the same continent again soon, and stuff will hopefully return to normal at some point.
Hopefully. I actually the San Francisco Porn Film Festival, that film that you shot of me and Courtney. Yeah, it was great. I was in bed with my girlfriend watching it, and I was just like under the covers as she was watching. I was like, no, don't look at me. She was just like watching it, and at the end she was like, yeah, it was good, let's fuck now.
Yeah, hopefully we can make more smut together in the future.
Love it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Bye everyone. Bye.
Thank you.